Hi YouTube people, welcome back to another monthly read and wrap up. April was a really good reading month for me. I read 22 books and it's currently May 20th and I'm in a reading slump. I think I only read 5 books. Yeah, 5 books this month. So, I don't know. But let's talk about all the books I read in April. The first book I read is called The Wrong Bride, and the tropes are arranged marriage, sister's fiance, and love triangle. Um, so Raven, it's about Raven and Aries. Raven has always been in love with Aries, but he's engaged to her sister. I forgot her name. Um, but yeah, he's engaged to her sister, and the sister like bails. She's like so flaky with like wanting to get married and stuff. So she bails out, and then like Raven's forced to marry him because of the arranged marriage between the families. So then they get married, and it's a whole bunch of drama after that. This book was ridiculous because it was like a soap opera in book form. Like, it was just back to back drama, and it was crazy, but I couldn't put it down because like it was interesting as well. Let's see. I didn't really like Aries. I thought he was too wishy-washy because like it was the whole love triangle thing. He didn't know like what he really wanted. At first he was all like, I'm in love with the sister, da 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 da. And then like after they get married, after him and Raven get married, he's like, yeah, I've always loved you. I'm like, what? And then he like kept going back and forth, but I think Raven deserved better. And then, okay, normally the whole sister's fiance thing creeps me out, but like when you read it and like get deep into the book, you realize that like he was with Raven first, but they didn't really know because well, Aries didn't know because he was drunk and like Raven like ran out, so it was just weird. So that's why I wasn't disgusted. And also, the sister was a narcissist. Didn't like her at all. She was, she was crazy. But yeah, that was that, and that's a. I give that book 2 stars. The next book I read is called The Guy for Me. It's a novella, so it's like really short. I think it's like 100 pages. The tropes are friends to lovers, pen pal, and it's plus size representation for both characters. And this was a quick, fun read. Let's see. So, like I said, they're friends to lovers. They started off as pen pals, and then chance encounter. They ended up meeting, like after like 2 or 3 years, I want to say, and then their little love story blossoms. It was cute. It was fun. I can't really say much because it was a novella, but it was a super quick, fun read. So I'll give that 3 stars. Okay, so the next book I read is called My Dark Romeo, and I love this book. This is so good. The tropes are arranged marriage, forced marriage. It's kind of a Beauty and a Beast retelling. Yeah, kind of. And then it's Grumpy Sunshine and Enemies to Lovers. This book was so, it was so crazy from start to finish. Okay, so they first meet at this like, I don't know. It's like some event they meet at, and they get into argument over shortbread, which that was crazy. And then they ended up hooking up like later that night in front of everybody, but she didn't know, but he knew, and that's how he kind of like ruined her reputation. And her father was so mad because it was like an old society way. So then he offered to marry her, and her father like shipped her off to him. It was so crazy. Like she didn't want to marry. She was engaged to someone else, like through an arranged marriage, but then that happened and ruined her reputation. The banter between those two. Her name's Dallas and his name is Romeo. One, I don't like her name, but I love his name. Her name should have been Juliet. So, yeah, the banter between those two are funny, and like the way they went at each other, hilarious. I like when she tied him up to the bed. Like that part was so funny. And then because her name's a city, oop, not my dryer going off. Okay, because her name's a city, his friends like always made fun of that. So like instead of calling her Dallas, they would call her Daytona or something like that. It was like every city name they would list except for her name. So, and going off his friends, I really liked his friends. I liked that joke they had with her name, and then I liked their text messages that they did. So that was good. And there were some parts of the book that was unnecessary, like his ex girlfriend popping up, and then her like ex fiance who got popping up. Like I guess he had like he could pop up for like one time, but he kept popping up. And then it was so funny because Romeo, and the ex fiance are rivals. So, like, that's why he did what he did. And then, like, he was in a restaurant, and Romeo bought the restaurant to kick the ex fiance out. It was so funny. So, it was good. Even though he had his flaws, like, you could tell he was, like, it was because of his past trauma and what he's been through. And really, you end up loving them together. Like, even though, like, what he put her through, they ended up being so cute together. I love this book. 4 stars. So the next book I read is actually a series. It's 4 books so far. It's the Boys of Tillman series. I hope I'm saying it right. Tillman or Tommen. Something like that. It's by Chloe Walsh. And I gave the whole series 5 stars so far. Like, all 4 books, 5 stars. I'm obsessed with the series. It's one of my new favorite series of all time. Like, I would do anything to reread these books again for the first time. I read these books back to back. I ate it up. No breaks. Okay, so the first 2 books are about Johnny and Shannon. The first book is called Buying at 13, and the second book is called Keeping 13. So I'm gonna talk about these 2 books together because they go together. So yeah, Johnny and Shannon. Shannon's this young, small, abused girl. Like she comes from an abusive household, and then she was bullied so bad at her last school she had to switch to a private school where Johnny goes, and he's this popular rugby player whose career is like rising. So like whatever is like the NBA for rugby, like that's where he's headed. So yeah, they had like literally a run-in at the first day of her first day of school for her. So that's how they kind of get like drawn together, and then they just keep gravitating towards each other, and he wants to know everything about her, and she's like hesitant because she comes from abusive households and she doesn't really want to talk about that to people. So yeah, you see their relationship develop and progress from like in both books. and ugh, it's just so heartbreaking for her. I don't want to say too much, but my girl went through it. Let's see. And then he's also going through things, but not as crazy as her. He's just like hiding an injury, like a career in an injury, but she's hiding like abuse. Like she gets beat up by her father. So that's crazy. And then the second book, I want to say it's still like the same things, but it's the same thing, but it gets better at the end for her and her brothers. She's like, yeah, there's like 6 kids, 5 that she's living with. Like the oldest brother, he like bailed on them, left, and then her other old brother, Joey, he's actually in the next 2 books. And then it's her and then 3 younger brothers. So she's the only girl besides the mother. And oh, the mother. I don't know how I feel about the mother. I have like mixed feelings about her, and you would too, because it's like, are you stupid? But then you kind of feel bad for her because she's going through the same thing too, but she's also not protecting her kids. It's crazy. It's a mess. I'm so happy she gets to happy ending, and yeah, got her out that household. Like Johnny and Shannon, I don't know. They're just everything. They deserve everything. They deserve the world. Okay. And so the next 2 books are about Shannon's brother, Joey, the second oldest. And I love Joey so much. He's my favorite character throughout the series. Yeah, he's my favorite character, and then Johnny and Shannon are my favorite couple. Yeah. So the next 2 books are about Joey and Alfie. I hope I'm saying her name right. It's like Aofie, Alfie. I feel like that's it. Like, I want to say they're in Ireland. So, yeah. So, Joey and Alfie. Joey's a hurler, and Alfie is, they go to school together. They go to the public school that Shannon no longer goes to. And she's also Joey's boss's daughter, at like a mechanic, something like that. So, as I said, Joey is Shannon's brother, so he's also dealing with the abuse. He gets a lot of it because he is taking more of it, so his siblings don't have to go through it. And so he's going through that, and he's also dealing with substance abuse. Like, he's like bad on drugs, but I don't know. You still care for him even though he's on drugs because of what he's going through, and you get why he does it because of that household. So Alfie and Joey, they start off as like, you see them flirting on like the first day of school, then like nothing for like 2, maybe 3 years, and then all of a sudden they're together. Like she leaves her on and off again relationship with someone else to be with Joey because that's who she really loves. And so she's seeing him struggle with addiction, seeing the abusive household firsthand, and actually witnessing some of the abuse. Like his father, unreal, does something crazy. And so they're going through that, and she's like watching the love of her life struggle, and she's pregnant. It ends up being like a teenage pregnancy trope, and it's crazy. But like I said, it's a happy ending. He gets the happy ending as well, and he like overcomes his struggles. I love Joey. Joey deserves everything in life, and I can't wait for the next 2 books. Like I said, I gave all 4 books so far 5 stars because it's a really good story. Even though they're really long, I'm gonna say each book is like 600 pages. Maybe 550 through 600, something like that. But it's so good, so worth it. The next book I read is another series, actually, 4 books again. The series is called Magnolia Park's Universe. So, yeah. And again, I'm obsessed. I thought it was overhyped. I thought it was going to be overhyped when everybody was talking about it. Like, oh, it's like Gossip Girl. It is like Gossip Girl. Everything they said is true. It's so good. It's like addicting. Like, I can't give it 5 stars because, as I was saying, I'll explain why it's not 5 stars, but like it's like 4.5 stars. Like I just love it, and I love how all 4 books are interconnected with each other. Like the characters and the books and the storytelling, they're all interconnected, and it's really like Gossip Girl in book form. It's so much drama. Love it. Okay, the first book is Magnolia Parks. My favorite, by the way, Magnolia Parks. It's about Magnolia and BJ, and it's so funny. So they were together, like they're each other. They're the love of each other's lives. Did I say that right? I don't know. They love each other, but they're not together because he cheated on her. And so now it's like this back and forth thing. She dates other people to make him mad, but she doesn't like get with them. And then he actually gets with other girls to like make her mad, and it's so much back and forth between them two. But you could tell they love each other. Like they're always around each other. They even sleep in the same bed together, even though they don't do nothing. It's so weird. But I'm obsessed with them. And let's see. Ooh, I guessed who it was that he cheated on with. I guessed it from the beginning, and I'm so mad that I was right. Because my girl Magnolia didn't deserve that. Like, it was so much secrecy between, like, who he cheated on her with, and it was crazy. Like, I felt so bad for Magnolia. And also, you start to feel bad for BJ in, like, the second book after, like, you, like, see, like, what really, like, went down. You, like, learn more about it. So, like I said, Magnolia's my favorite character. She's, like, a fun fashionista I don't know, she's amazing. Like, she had 4 boys in love with her, and you can see why. She's just everything. And then at the end, they like decide, all right, we're getting back together. We're gonna be together. Then boom, the bomb drops, and you find out who he slept with, and my girl just takes off, as she should. Though we support her. The next book of the series is Daisy Hates, and it's about Daisy, Julian, and Christian. And I don't know, it was a little boring at first. Daisy and Julian, they're siblings, and then Christian is one of Magnolia's best friends. He was in love with Magnolia first, and he ends up being in love with Daisy. It's a lot. Christian and Daisy, they went from like friends to benefits to like being in love with each other, but she was also like wishy-washy because she had 2 guys. She was like playing with their feelings. Yeah. And I didn't like that. Like, it was different than what Magnolia was doing because Daisy was like knowingly doing it. Magnolia was trying to get over BJ, like not trying to play with other guys' feelings in a sense, but she was just trying to stop her. And Daisy was like, she knew who she loved, but kept messing with other people, like messing with their heads. So yeah. And people would say they like Daisy Hates better than Magnolia Parks, like their story, but no. I'm a Magnolia Parks girl, so, But I did love Julian. I loved his chapters, and I love him even more in, like, the 4th book. So, okay, the 3rd book is, we're back to Magnolia Parks. So, it's a continuation. It's like a year after Magnolia ran off after the bomb dropped, and so now she's back. Oh, I forgot to say, this takes place in London, by the way. So yeah, she like ran off to New York, and now she's back in London, and it's like a continuation. Except BJ's the one in the relationship, but he clearly doesn't love the girl, and then Magnolia's the one like seeing other people, and it's just so much back and forth. And then it's so many times they want to be together, but it's communication issues that's keeping them apart, and they're kind of childish, but it's in a good way because it's so much drama and so funny. And so you get more details of their past relationship in this book, and like everything they've been through, why they're so attached to each other, all that jazz. And yeah, he cheats on his girlfriend with Magnolia, and then Magnolia freaks out. She's like, I'm the other woman now. And then she deads that relationship again, and she starts seeing Julian, and I I kind of was rooting for Julian. I loved him. Like, Julian was everything. So it was just a lot of back and forth, and then her and BJ finally gets together at the end of the third book, and then boom, another bomb drops. Not with their relationship, but with something else, and it's just so heartbreaking for Magnolia. She could never catch a break. And then the fourth book was it's back to Daisy Hates. So yeah, the fourth book of the series, Daisy Hates Julian Christian. It's back and forth between Daisy and Christian, and she's like seeing this cop, something like that. And I honestly didn't really care too much about Daisy and Christian because I was focused on Julian and Magnolia. You get his side of their relationship in this book, and oh, I don't know. I loved it. I love Julian so much. Even though I love Magnolia and BJ, I wouldn't have mind Julian and Magnolia. Like, he was doing it for her. And then, ooh, Daisy made me mad because she like caused what's gonna happen to Magnolia. Like, it was unknowingly, but like, she should have left it alone. Like, who cares about the cop? Like, this is before her and the cop even started dating. Like, who cares? Let it happen. But that just made me mad. She should have left it alone. But that caused like a chain of events that ended up affecting Magnolia, and it's so heartbreaking. And it's heartbreaking for Julian because he ends up letting Magnolia go and like help her and BJ get back together because he doesn't want her hurt. Oh, I don't think I mentioned their jobs. Julian is a crime lord, and so is Christian. So I guess you could say it's like the mafia for British people. They're into crimes. They're criminals, and Daisy, she's a criminal kind of too. And yeah, and that. And Magnolia's a fashionista. She's like a style editor or something like that. But like I said, I'm obsessed. I can't wait for the next 2 books. Can't wait. I gotta see what happens next. I'm obsessed. I gave this 4.5 stars. I want to say the third book I gave 5 stars. The fourth book I gave 4 stars. Yeah. In the first 2 books, 4 stars. So I'm gonna just round that up to 4.5 star series. But it was so good. I'm obsessed. The next book I read is Indigo Ridge. It is a part of a series, but I wasn't obsessed like I was with the last 2 series, so I only read 2 books out of that series. I gotta read the other 3. So the first book of the series is called Indigo Ridge, and it's a mystery romance and a small town romance. Yeah, it's about Winslow and Griffin. Winslow moves to this small town. I want to say she's like the chief of police, something like that. And then Griffin, I think he's like, I don't know, they describe him as like a sexy cowboy. His family is like one of the founding families of that town, so they have like money and a lot of things going on in that town. So she like comes the first night and they hook up without knowing each other. Like, yeah, because she was new in town and he thought she was just a new person just stopping by. So that's how they kind of get drawn together, and then they're like friends with benefits relationship goes through there, and then it ends up in a relationship, stuff like that. And then while that romance is going on, there's also a mystery happen that involves like suicides, but it's not really suicides. And then the twists and turns in the books were so good. Like, I didn't expect the plot twist. It turns out someone is actually killing the girls, and I did not expect that the killer was gonna be the killer. I was thinking it was gonna be someone else, and it was just so good. So I give that 3.5 stars. And the next book is about it's Griffin's brother. So their last name's Eden. I think it's called like the Eden series. Yeah, it's called Juniper Hill. That's the second book. And what is it? It's about Knox. Knox is Griffin's brother. Knox and what's her name? Memphis. How could I forget that name? It's a city. Okay. But it's a single mom, small town romance, neighbors, forced proximity. Memphis is like on a run from her old life. Like she's leaving a lot behind. And she comes to that small town and works at the hotel that Knox's sister manages. Memphis is the housekeeper and Knox is a chef at the hotel. And then also because she's like came from nothing, she doesn't have money like that. She ends up renting a place from Knox, so they're like on the same land, so forced proximity. And so yeah, that's how they ended up getting close because they're always around each other. And she has a kid, and it's so cute. The cutest part was like when he like unknowingly called her son his son. I thought that part was cute. And then so it's dealing with that, and then also her past catches up to her, and they also have to deal with that. And it was a good book. It was a little bland at times, so I'll give this one 3 stars. And like I said, I think it's still 3 more books in the series. It's about the other siblings, and I gotta read those. Okay, the next book I read is called Morrow, and it's about Jack and Kyrie. Yeah, Kyrie's the girl. Yeah, Jack and Kyrie. And this book was crazy. Like, it's about 2 rival serial killers. And it's so funny because they, like, want each other so bad, but they also want to, like, get the other person caught up. They don't know if they want to kill the other person or, like, incriminate them for, like, all the murders that's been going on. It's crazy. They're both crazy. I can't really say much about this book other than the fact that it was a crazy read. Crazy good read. They're crazy. Their love is crazy. They're perfect for each other. And 3.5 stars. It kind of reminds me of Dexter because they're both like scientists. Yeah, they're both scientists and they're both serial killers. So Dexter vibes, but with serial killer romance. So I don't know. Like I said, 3.5 stars. The book was crazy. Okay, the next book I read is called The Devil's Captive. Wait, I don't know if it's a "the" in the beginning. It might just be Devil's Captive, honestly. And I don't know how to pronounce the main character's name, so I'm gonna just call her L. Like, I want to say it's like Lucretia, but I don't know. Her name's L, and his name is Mateo. And the tropes are kidnapping, mafia romance, and enforced marriage. So Elle is getting married to someone else. It's an arranged marriage between their families. When Mateo comes in and pew, everything like ends up killing the groom and his brothers, stuff like that. And then he ends up taking the groom's place in the wedding and forcing her to marry him. And her father is just like, he's gonna let it happen because Mateo offers him money, stuff like that. So that's how they get married, and then he like takes her away into back to his home, and she's like a captive in his house because she didn't want the marriage, but it was forced on her, and now there's nothing she could do. But the relationship grows, and it ends up being kind of cute. Because then you realize he's like obsessed with her. Like, he planned this whole thing out because he wanted revenge on her family, and like when researching her family, he ends up researching her, becoming obsessed with her, stalking her, stuff like that. And I don't know, it was cute. It was cute, and I like the side characters. Mateo's brother, he's fun, and he's a good friend to Elle. Yeah, I can't really say much. You have to like read the book to really understand because I don't want to spoil it too much. But it was cute. 3.5 stars. So the next 2 books I read, they go together. It's from this series, my favorite series. I think this is my ultimate favorite series. I think it's called the Thoughtful series. Something, not Thoughtful, Thoughtless series. So, yeah, I read the 3 books last year, and that was all the girls' point of view. And then the next 2 books I read are the guy's point of view, and it's the same story just in his point of view, and I'm still obsessed. It's so good. So I'm gonna talk about the 2 books together because they kind of go together. Um, the first book is called Thoughtful, and the second book is called Painful, and it's about Kellen and Kira. Kellen and Kira, and they start off like in this love triangle thing. Kira and her boyfriend move in with Kellen. Kellen is best friends with the boyfriend, and so that's how they get introduced. Kellen's in a band, Kira's in school and working at the bar. And so then a love triangle like ends up happening. Kira and the boyfriend broke up for one day. Then Kira and Kellen hooked up on that day, and then Kira and the boyfriend ended up getting back together the next day. It was a lot. It was crazy, but that's how the love triangle happens. And then it was like emotional cheating for a while, and then like physical cheating. I think it was, yeah, physical cheating ended up happening before the relationship between Kira and the boyfriend eventually finally ends, and the way it ends is so crazy. But because like of what the boyfriend did to Kira and Kellen, like it was a lot. And so that was all from like the first book. And then the second book is them navigating their relationship, learning to trust each other because clearly they're not that trustworthy because of what happened. So, yeah, and he's like on the road. He's on tour with his band, like rising up with in fame, stuff like that. Like his fame is growing. So he's dealing with groupies, and he's also dealing with family drama. And I love the series with Kira's point of view, but I love the series even more now that I got Kellen's, because he is the ultimate book boyfriend. Like you get his thoughts, and he's so sad, and you wouldn't expect all the sadness from him. Like you would in like her books, but not as much as you get in his books. Like he has a lot of family stuff that's going on, like, and then he finds his birth father. Well, no, his sister finds him and introduces him to the birth father, and it's so sad, but then you'd be like so happy for him. And even though at times you want to hate Kira because you see his point of view, you like love Kira because he's finally getting the love that he deserves, even though he doesn't think he deserves that love, which he does. He's just so awesome. They are soulmates. Like I don't mind. I don't mind that they cheated on Kira's boyfriend because they are really soulmates. Like he deserves the world, and I'm so happy I got his point of view. I love him, love him, love him, love him, love him. I want to marry him. I want to marry this fictional character, and I don't know. It's just so good, and I want to say it should be another book coming out, because it should be the third book in his point of view about the third book of their story. So I don't know when that's coming out, but I can't wait because I love him. I'm obsessed. I gave both books 5 stars, and I think I gave the whole series 5 stars. At first, I gave it like 4 stars, but then, like the first 3 books in the series, I think I gave 4 stars because I don't know what I was on. But as I kept thinking about it, I kept like wanting to find books that's similar to those books, and I was like, I'm obsessed with these books. These are 5 stars, so I changed them all to 5 stars. It was so good. The next book I read is called The Favor, and this was a good read. Like, yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I enjoyed the story, I enjoyed the plot, all that. The tropes are boss employee. She's the personal assistant, and he's like the millionaire boss. Another trope is millionaire, and it's marriage of convenience. It's about Vienna and Dane. Yeah, Vienna and Dane. Like I said, she's his personal assistant, and he's the millionaire boss, and she owes him a favor from something that happened like a long time ago, and he cashes in on that favor, and the favor turns out to be her marrying him so that he get his inheritance. And it's not so much that he like needs his inheritance, it's just that he doesn't want his grimy brother to get the inheritance because it would go to him. And so yeah, to get the inheritance you gotta get married, and I wanna say he says she's like the only one he like really trusts. And I don't know, I love this book. It was so dramatic. I couldn't put it down. I literally couldn't put it down. I just kept reading it until I was done. Like, I want to say it took me 3 hours. I was like zooming through it. It was so good, so addicting. The side characters was kind of like 50-50. Like, some side characters I loved. The other side characters I was like, I hate you. Like, one of his brothers, the grimy one, didn't like. And the grimy brother's wife, and then the good brother, his wife was horrible. Like, why are you obsessed with Dane? Got hooked up years ago, and you and I are married to his brother. Make it make sense. But her family was cool, except for her sister. Her sister was a mess, and it was interesting because her father, he had like multiple personality disorder, and I never read a book that like highlighted on that kind of mental illness, so it was interesting to read. So yeah, I love their chemistry, and I loved how the relationship progressed from it's just a favorite wedding, not favorite wedding, a favorite marriage to like, all right, this is actually a real marriage. Ooh, and one thing I did not like was her ex-fiance. He was a mess. I want to say, yeah, he like ends up popping up again. Even though he's married, he's like, he makes it known that he loves her, telling her that he's getting a divorce. And he has this kid, and he named the kid after her. Like, and his wife didn't know that's why he chose the name Vienna for their daughter. Like, what is wrong with you? That was crazy. 4.5 stars for that book because it was crazy good. So the next 2 books I read, they're a duet, so they go together, and I'm gonna talk about them together. The first book is called When Heroes Fall, and the second book is called When Villains Rise. And the tropes are mafia and then enemies to lovers, you could say. It's about Dante and Elena, and Elena has my heart. Okay, so Dante's the anti-hero. He's the mafia don, all that jazz, and he's on trial for I think he got like RICO charges, honestly. And then Elena's the lawyer who's like on his case to like help him get free. So at first she's like not really messing with him because she sees things in black and white. She's like, you're a mafia don, you're guilty, yada yada yada. And then like as she gets to know him, like you could tell their chemistry from the beginning, and then it keeps like developing, and they eventually get together. So, and that's like the first book. Wait, yeah, and Elena, she's been through a lot, like with her family. I hate her family. I hate everybody in her family. Like, she's kind of portrayed as the cold B word in her family, but that is not the case. She's not the villain in her family. Everyone else is. Her younger sister ends up sleeping with Elena's fiance, and then Elena's fiance leaves her and marries the sister, stuff like that. And they ended up having a kid, which was something Elena always wanted, but the fiance was putting her off, stuff. Ooh, hated them. And then the other siblings took the younger sister's side because she's fragile. and Elena's this villain or code B word. But girl, like, Elena's not a bitch. I understand Elena. Like, she had every right to go off on them, and I wish she would have done more. She should have went off on the other siblings as well. And oh, I hated them so much. Like, I can't, words can't describe how much I hate them. I wanted to choke all of them for her. But all that aside, I'm happy she got with Dante and he gave her the love she deserved, and he also gave her her first orgasm, because she could not, she like went through a lot. She was like, you realize she was abused, like, as you like learn more about the story. So it was a lot. So they're together, and I have to say, F the sister, F the other sister, F the ex-fiance, F the mother, and F the father, F the brother, F her whole family. And Elena and Dante, they're everything. He's everything she needs and deserves, even though she wasn't really rocking with him in the beginning. He ends up like risking his freedom for her. He's on house arrest, but then something happens to her and he has to save her, so he risked his house arrest and ends up having to go on a run because he broke his house arrest. And then she ends up going on a run with him. They go to Italy, and that's the second book. The second book is them on a run, dealing with mafia problems in Italy. And then it's all that problems. Oh, the second book annoyed me because they tried to make it look like Dante, not Dante. Is his name Dante? Yeah. They tried to make it look like Dante and this one of her other sister, not the sister that already messed with the fiance, but the other sister were like in love with each other at one point, but that wasn't really the case. So they could have like left that out, because Elena didn't need to go through that or like feel that way again. So they end up going back to New York because he's like, he wants to be in New York with Elena. He doesn't want to be on the road for her no more, and it's so sweet. So he ends up going to jail for a while, and while they work to get him out. And then in jail, I like the part when he was in jail and he unalived the person that abused Elena. Like, he found that person, and it was everything. He's so loved. I love them. They had the perfect ending. Because towards the end, it got a little crazy with like one of his men, and then yeah, they ended up having to take a kid in, but it worked out for them at the end, and she got her happy ending. I just hate the fact that she I don't want to say she like forgave the family, but she like let it go. Like, she let go what happened with the sister, and I get that you're happy, but they deserve to be choked, like all her family members. So that's the only part I didn't really like. Like, I think she should have went off on them again, because they deserved it for what they did. But that was that. I gave the first book 3 stars, and I gave the second book 4 stars. It was so good. Okay, and the last book I read is called Feral Sins. It's a wolf romance, and I read it because I was like, wow, I haven't read a wolf romance since I used to read them back in the day on Wattpad. So that's why I picked this book. I was intrigued, and it was okay. It was an okay read. Let's see. It's about Trey and Taryn. Trey's this crazy feral alpha wolf, and Taryn's an alpha female wolf who is Latin, which means she hasn't transformed into her wolf yet. So he wolf naps her. He wolf naps her, and then proposes a deal that they mate with each other, so that she doesn't have to mate with the guy her father wants her to mate, who's this sadistic wolf, and he can get alliances like through her father, stuff like that. And like I said, it reminded me of Wattpad. It was fun. It was a lot of drama. I liked the banter between Taryn and Trey's grandmother. Like, it was back and forth, and it was so funny. So that was the part I really liked, and I like that they find out that they're like true soulmates or like true wolf mates, something like that. So that part was cute too, and it was fun. I'll give this 3.5 stars. And that's it for, yeah, that's all 22 books I read in April. Like, this video was so late, like 20 days late, but I finally did it. I'm done, and I'm gonna try to be early. I should be early with the next month read because, like I said, I'm in a reading slump. I want to say it's probably only gonna be 5 books on that thing. I don't see myself reading more books, but I might try to force one more book to get out of my reading slump. I might read my favorite book. I feel like that might get me out of my reading slump. My ultimate favorite book. Which I don't know what my ultimate favorite book is, but one of my favorite books is called Love in Other Words. I might actually read that to get me out of my reading slump, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm in like this weird funk all around. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.